Your HOA sends out financial statements, and if you're like most owners, your eyes glaze over and into the drawer they go, if you even open it that much. But these documents are how you catch problems early, before they become a surprise bill. So let's walk through them together in plain English so that you know exactly what to look at and what should raise a red flag. There are really three documents that you want to get comfortable with: the balance sheet, the income and expense statement, and the reserve report. You don't need an accounting degree. You just need to know what each one of these tells you and which numbers matter. Let's take them one at a time. First, the balance sheet. This is a snapshot of what the association owns and owes at a single point in time. The key things to find: cash on hand, the split between operating and reserve accounts, accounts receivable, which is money that owners owe but haven't paid yet, and any liabilities like loans or unpaid bills. The most useful quick check here is the reserve balance. Is there real money in that reserve account, or is it thin? And how big is the receivables? A large receivables number means a lot of owners are behind on their dues, which strains everybody else. Second, the income and expense statement, sometimes called the P&L or budget to actual. This shows the money that's coming in and going out over a period, usually compared against the budget. This is where you spot trouble. Look at the variance columns, the difference between what was budgeted and what actually happened. A few small overages, that's normal. But if major categories are consistently way over budget, the association is either under budgeting or they're losing control of the cost, and that pressure eventually lands on the dues. Pay special attention to whether reserve contributions are actually being made. Sometimes the budget promises a healthy reserve contribution, but the actual statement shows that it was skipped or it was reduced to cover other shortfalls. That's exactly the kind of thing that these statements reveal if you look. Third, the reserve report. This ties the financials to the reserve study. It should show the current reserve balance, the percent funded, and how contributions are tracking against the plan. If the percent funded is sliding and contributions are lagging the study's recommendation, you've just identified a future special assessment in the making. Now, a few red flags to scan across all three. One, reserves being used to cover operating costs. Money quietly moving from savings to daily expenses. Two, rising delinquencies. More and more owners falling behind, which shifts the burden onto everyone else who pays. Three, no reserve contribution at all, or one that's just a token amount. Four, big unexplained legal or miscellaneous expenses, which can signal litigation or disorganization. And five, statements that are months and months late or that the board won't share. Transparency problems are often the first symptom of financial problems. Here's a simple routine that you can run in about 10 minutes each quarter. Open the balance sheet, check the reserve balance and the receivables. Open the income statement, scan the variance column for anything that is wildly off, and confirm that reserves were actually funded. Open the reserve report. Note the percent funded and whether it's rising or falling. That's it. 3 documents, a handful of numbers, and you'll understand your community's finances better than most people ever will. One important note: you generally have the right to request these documents. In most states, owners can inspect association financial records. If your board makes that difficult, that resistance is itself worth paying attention to. Healthy associations share their numbers pretty freely. And if the statements are genuinely confusing or seem inconsistent, you are allowed to ask questions at a board meeting. A well run association should be able to explain its own finances in plain language. If they can't, that tells you something too. Reading these statements is a skill, and now you've got the basics. In other videos, I break down reserves and percent funded in even more detail, and those are linked down below. Subscribe for more. And if your board wants financials that are actually clear and easy for owners to understand, that's part of what I do at Aligned Impact. My name is Jay Boykin, and links are down in the description. We'll see you in the next video.